That was just a Mobius strip of dumbassness that you just went through. Welcome to another episode of Let's Rewatch, the show where we like to watch movies we loved in our youth and see if they're still any good. I'm Nick.
I'm Bret.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Ash.
And this giggling bastard over here is our good friend, Dalex Miller.
Hello.
Who I think is now back in tied position for most guests.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For,
Who's the other tied?
Marissa, right?
Oh.
This is three for both of them, right?
I will destroy her if
only
it
been
means
twice.
I can be most.
Yeah, I think this puts Dalex solidly in the
Dalex
lead.
Yeah.
in the lead.
I think she's
All
only
right.
been, because she was Jumanji and,
Something pretty recent.
The romantic movie.
yeah, the one that I like.
Romantic
10
is
Things
good.
I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Dalex is now going to start his list of 10 things I will do to Marissa in order to be first.
Yep. First of all, cancel her flight back.
Cover her in blood.
Cover her in blood. Done. Check.
Things got very heavy here.
You'll never leave Chicago, Marissa.
She's in Chicago?
She's
she will
leaving
be.
tonight.
Is she
We're
partying with
going to
Oprah?
Chicago
will
on
be.
Friday.
She will be.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Starting this off
I love
good.
it. I love it. I'm smiling.
I don't
love
know
it.
anything about this movie. Was that a thing from this movie?
No, that's
No,
from
that's
a little
from
movie called Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, that was a Yoda impression?
Yeah.
I
A
didn't
little
get
bit
that.
of
Sorry.
Frank Oz for you.
will be.
Easily the creepiest moment from any Star Wars movie
Oh,
ever.
yeah.
Easily.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
It's so
fuck yeah, I'm
creepy,
going to be
I thought
afraid
you were
forever. I have
impersonating
nightmares because of Yoda.
So this time around, we're going to watch it. Do you guys want to watch it?
I'm ready to watch it.
I'm ready to watch it.
But what are we watching,
But
Nick?
what is
Yeah,
it?
we're going to watch it.
It feels like a who's on first.
What's on
Scenario,
second? I don't know
yeah.
what's on third.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was made in 1990.
Wow.
Just after the 80s.
It was made
Yes,
post-80s,
Dalex,
but
good
barely.
job.
Well, it's funny because in my mind, I was like, yeah, it was solidly in the 80s. And I was wrong.
Well, the cast is solidly in the 80s.
Definitely.
For sure.
Is
Definitely.
the production value solidly in the 80s?
I think it might be.
Due to the fact that it was a TV miniseries, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
have you
jumping-
seen the trailer? The trailer is very 80s.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the trailer, but I tell you what I have seen. I saw this original broadcast on television.
Wow.
Damn, son.
Yeah. So yeah, this kind of jumped the gun on expectations here. Like, yeah, I think this is great, but it is TV miniseries production level.
What network?
And not your cable miniseries.
It was one of the big three.
I was going to say, like, the network, I feel like sets kind of an expectation on its own.
Yeah. Who? And it wasn't. I know because Fox was still fairly new to the game. It wasn't them.
This is 1990, so it's ABC, NBC, or CBS. Is
And
one
if
of those.
it
God, I
was
really
the
wanna know
90s
now.
when it aired, they probably did shoot it in the 80s, right?
Well,
Oh,
technically,
really, yeah.
probably yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This CW's It.
Fuck.
Yeah, all
That might
these
be the new
sexy
movie that we're getting,
teenagers falling in
actually.
love. So this, of course, is based off of a Stephen King book. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Mr. King. And,
Yes.
and Dalex and I were talking a little bit about Mr. King
Indeed.
before we started recording. We're both huge fans.
Absolutely.
Ash,
Big time.
you've read how many Stephen King books?
0.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's just,
but I
not quite
like
enough.
that Shining movie.
The Shining, yeah, the movie
which is the
Shining.
one that he hates probably the most.
Really?
Yeah.
But not the book, the movie. You said he hates the movie.
Yeah. Well,
I wrote this book and I hate it.
yeah, he's like, fuck this book forever. No, I was talking with Nick about this, and we hadn't actually fully delved into the details of what I read, but in a Rolling Stone article from about 3 years ago, the interviewer asked him about, the kind of discrepancy that he feels exists between the movies and the books, and I thought he brought up great points. And yes, there is a cult of interest around Stanley Kubrick's work in general, but specifically The Shining. But Steven brought up good points that he's like, it's fairly like I wanted to see somebody turn into a crazy person, and Jack Nicholson's crazy.
You don't cast Jack Nicholson to become
right.
crazy.
Exactly. I was like, that's a really good point. He's like, it's really fairly misogynistic. And I was like, yeah. Shirley Lang is pretty much like a wet towel that gets thrown around.
Well, apparently that's what Kubrick did to her anyway.
Yeah, he was historically not very nice in treatment of her, which sucks. Shelley Long. Lang. What was her name?
Long.
Oh, Shelley. No, that's not Shelley Long.
No, it's
No.
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall.
Oh.
Or am I?
All right, I'm looking this up because
I'm
every
sorry.
time you say a name, it
It's
sounds
wrong.
right.
It's close enough, but still horribly wrong. Anyway, and then he brought up the point of the ending is so different because
Yeah.
in the ending of his novel,
Spoiler alert.
fucking read the book, guys. It goes up in flames, and at the end of Kubrick's novel, we see just this cold, frigid, frozen Jack, and it's interesting that he brought up those points. But he got extra bonus points for pointing out.
Frost.
Have you guys tried at Jack in the Box, a new Frozen Jack?
Frozen Jack.
Anyway, he got points for pointing out the misogyny, and I was like, you know what, Stephen King, I freaking like you. You're a good person. Also, follow him on Twitter. He has a lot of great things to say about our quote-unquote president,
And first, Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall.
Second, if you do like the book and you want to see a movie version of that, they did a TV miniseries much like it. They did a TV miniseries of The Shining with Steven Weber a few years after it.
Who, oddly enough, is narrating the audiobook of it that I've been listening to for about a year.
Because it's a really big
Have you seen that documentary about The Shining? Not to
Okay.
go off on too much of a
Yeah,
tangent.
Room 2. I like that Stephen actually addressed this in this article too. He's like, he watched it for longer than I did. He's like, I gave it about 30 minutes, and then I was so bored and infuriated by it that I turned it off. I was like, I didn't even get 15 minutes into that.
Me too, yeah. I watched like the first 10 minutes, and at first I was like, okay, interesting. And then they started getting into the whole like, this movie is about the oppression of the Native Americans, and I
Because
was like,
you can see it on the
you are
can
really
labels.
reaching. Yeah, they like
yeah, I hate stuff like that.
they're
Yeah, it's
just
pretty much
really
garbage.
reaching. I mean, not that it's just that I'm sure there's interesting points in the documentary.
There's fun
but,
to be had in this movie without finding deeper meaning that's not actually there.
and who knows? It's Kubrick. Maybe there is deeper meaning, but like
Good luck.
they're like, because there's all this Native American artwork on the walls, and I'm like, well, maybe that was just the location because
Right.
it's a lodge in
Right.
the hills, like in
Yeah.
the mountain. I
in
don't
the
know.
middle of nowhere, Colorado.
And then the best part was there's one scene where they're like, there's a bunch of cans behind Jack, and they're all turned so that you can't
Baking
read
soda.
the label except for like one or two. And I was like, that's just what they do
you
when they
do.
film. Like they just turn the labels, guys. Like you're reading too much into this.
Which one of the cans was played by John Benjamin?
Yes.
Oh, his earliest role, his earliest can.
So, Brett and Sam, what's your relationship with Mr. King?
I like The Shining.
Nice. So you haven't read a lot of his books?
No, I
you
haven't
read
read
any of his
any.
books?
I don't do well with horror, guys.
Oh, right. I haven't really thought about that.
So remember
Buckle
that
up, you're in for a real ride tonight.
I know. I'll get to that later. So remember that edit that was going around YouTube where somebody recut The Shining to look like a happy family?
Yes.
The trailer.
Brett,
Shining.
yes, Brett showed that to me, and I was like, "That looks like an adorable movie. Let's watch it."
Well
And
played,
Brett,
sir.
you let her continue to think that.
No,
you a
he
hug.
could not hold it together for very long because he thought for sure I knew what it was, and
How did you never hear of The Shining?
that wasn't that long ago, guys.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
even the title, you
feel
you
like
could
we should be
misconstrue
watching
The
The
Shining.
Yeah.
They were all happy in Shining.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my relationship there. I think that sums it up pretty well.
Wow.
But did you like it when you saw
Oh
it?
yeah, it was
okay.
great. Yeah.
What about you,
But-
Brett? Have you read Stephen King?
So I may
Dalex and I the only ones?
have said before that my favorite book series is the novelization of the film The Dark Tower.
Okay.
Man, that's an interesting way
It's
to look at it.
amazing how they stretched 8 books out of one movie. Isn't that amazing?
I know.
When you haven't even seen the movie yet?
Yeah, they
I
took
saw
a lot
the
of those
movie.
background elements
really?
and wrote
I've
whole
never
books
read
about
the
it.
books.
Oh, did it come out? I just got back from Japan. I have no idea what's happening in the world.
Yes, they came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's supposedly horrible.
I
Oh,
enjoyed
that's a bummer.
it. Having never read the books, I enjoyed it.
Yep.
And Luna explained to me that there's something in the books that makes it okay for the movie to be so different
Okay.
that I can't really get into.
My thought is that the movie was pretty great, and I read the books. And I love the books, and I think people who read the books are the ones complaining about it because it's like every single scene in the movie, every new location they go to has a cooler story than the movie told.
But that's fair. Like, a lot of times I read a book, see the movie, and I want to complain because the thing I loved isn't there.
Yeah, and it's this was like there's a whole book about one of the locations that they just walk by in the movie. And it's like one of my favorite stories in the series, and it's just like, wow, you guys just walked by that and you're not even gonna go, okay, whatever. But the story they told was pretty good anyway. I think it maybe is a little hard to follow because they use a lot of the words from the book.
Oh yeah,
Without
doesn't
explaining
he
them
make
all
up?
in scope.
Yeah, but it's super tight. Like it's the main plot and nothing else. But it's a pretty good adventure.
Yeah.
I want to know what they had to do in editing to make that story work, because that movie was only an hour and a half.
What?
Yeah, and it was the entire series.
No, that's not even possible.
I think they had to do some magic of editing.
Cliff Notes.
I was listening to Edgar Wright talk on The Nerdist recently, and he was talking about how in Fistful of Fingers, they only had like 70 minutes of raw footage.
Wow.
And that he realized he had to like do some creative things to stretch it. And so apparently, I haven't seen the movie, but he was talking about how apparently there's an entire scene in the dark. So like he has two characters put out a campfire, and then they just recorded audio of them continuing to talk in the dark.
What?
To like,
He got
We were
away with
ramping up the
black
tension.
frames.
yeah, crazy, right?
I have this movie if we want to watch it.
I do want to watch it.
Okay.
We should do it.
Oh yeah, I didn't quite finish, but that series, The Dark Tower, is nothing like anything else King has written, and it's not horror.
I tried to read The Dark Tower, and I would agree.
If you started it, you read the first one, Gunslinger. And,
I didn't finish it.
Yeah, because it sucks.
I hear you have to get through the first book.
Yeah, actually,
and
I
then it
think
gets
get
better.
30 pages into that book.
It's
rough.
It's
Well,
super rough.
I
He
heard
wrote it when
that
he was
those are-
19.
Yeah, and I heard those are unedited. Like that's just he just put that
Stream
stuff.
of consciousness writing.
Yeah.
No, I haven't read it, but Bryce tells
But
me.
I've got opinions.
But Bryce is reading the series, and he tells me that, especially in the first books, he spends an awful lot of time describing people's crotches.
What?
Well,
yeah,
I found he spends
There's
a
a
lot
bit
of
of
time
that.
describing everything. And
yeah.
just
Everything.
got bored. Yeah.
Yeah, the first book is super dry, and I think it's just required reading for the rest of the series. But I think it really picks up around like 3 and 4 and 5 are really great and worth
That
the
reminds
trek.
me of whenever I talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm like, it's such a good show. The first 17 episodes are terrible. You got to get through that. But then it's such a good show.
I've heard people say that about Buffy too. Like the first,
the first
season.
season's
Yeah,
terrible.
the first season's pretty rocky.
I've read like 2 of the horror books when I was really young and I don't remember much. And I've seen bits and pieces of this TV series.
Oh, you've seen bits of this.
Bits.
Okay.
And it was
Not bites.
as a youngin', I recall being like, "This is slow," and ink and turned it off.
I think we can say it's scary.
I don't know.
I was expecting that as
It
well.
did not scare me.
I don't know
when I
how
was a kid.
scary. I have doubts about that.
Clowns weren't scary for me.
See, that's a refreshing thing to hear. As somebody who has been a clown in his life and likes clowns, this piece of work is responsible for so much damage in the psyche of our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually
70s
great.
Didn't help either. All those creepy clown paintings.
Yeah, that's yeah, but they weren't intended to be creepy. They just turned out to be creepy.
I think you should try, I don't know if it's possible, but try to approach this story from a mentality of a world where clowns are not scary.
Yeah, that's.
I'd like to think, and I can't back this up, but I'd like to think this movie first posited the theory that clowns could be scary.
Yeah. I
When
think
was
you're
Killer
right.
Clowns?
after.
Yeah.
that
This
there?
book
Yeah.
might have been late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, okay, the book.
Yeah,
The book,
I
yeah.
want to say. I think it was before his cocaine addiction, but maybe not.
Pre or post Coke?
Yeah, I don't know.
So, Ash, you posted something on Twitter.
I did, yeah.
If this were a book podcast, what Stephen King books should we check out?
Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, you would want to go back and read Pet Cemetery?
I think that was one of the ones I read, and I remember liking it. I don't remember a lot else about it.
Yeah.
Salem's Lot is honestly one of my favorite books of all time.
Okay.
And I don't usually. Here's the thing that I kind of grow to is the frustration about authors sometimes is when they write about writers. I'm like, really? You couldn't do anything?
That's all Stephen King does.
I know.
All of his characters are writers.
I forgive him for it every time. And I love Salem's Lot. And it breaks my number one rule right off the bat.
For me, it would be Green Mile. I had such joy.
Yeah.
He wrote that?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Oh, wow.
So then you guys probably don't know how he published it. And this was brilliant. It was 6 separate tiny books.
Yep.
It was like the comic book publishing model.
All stretched out along a mile, and you had to go pick them up.
Well, that's how Les Mis came out, too.
Well, it's how like Sherlock Holmes books came out, you know? It's like, and I had so much fun with like, oh, Stephen King's writing a new book, and I can read part of it now, and then I had to wait. And of course, it's like a TV miniseries. They leave you hanging.
Yeah.
It's like one of his few movies or one of his few books that didn't become a TV miniseries.
Right.
It would have been perfect for it. But I love that waiting like a month or two for the next book.
And then you'd see it in the grocery store again and be like, oh, time to pick that
I
sucker
was
up.
in the bookstore on the day. I was there, man. Yeah,
Oh, man.
I enjoyed that. Did Twitter people have thoughts about?
Yeah, so the Matt Lee said desperation. It's brilliant, which I can't help you out here because, again, I haven't read any of them.
I don't remember.
I honestly don't
Yeah.
remember.
I want to say that's one of the newer ones.
And Ralph had a really interesting one. He said Rage, the only book he says he wishes he never wrote. He said he read it in high school. But yeah, Rage. I don't know. I haven't heard of that one either.
Yeah, that's funny. I've definitely heard of Desperation. I just can't place the story. So yeah, and I've read a bunch of Stephen King, but not all of it. Like there's so much there.
Yeah, I when I was growing up, I basically stuck to the big mile markers: Cujo, Pet Cemetery, Salem's Lot. Tried it.
Cujo and the 3 strings? Or 2 strings?
That's not.
I didn't know he wrote that one.
That would be an awesome movie.
Yeah, fucking.
Just an angry guitar playing
yeah.
dog.
So we're dealing with a TV miniseries here that was broadcast in 2 parts. So it's a grand total of about 3 hours.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
We're welcome. We watched this for you.
Directed by a guy named Tommy Lee Wallace, who did a bunch of TV and some sequels to horror movies. He did Fright Night 2, Halloween 3. That's who we're dealing with. But our cast is interesting. Richard Thomas was John Boy Walton from the Waltons.
Yep, John Boy.
Way back in the day.
Who I've seen on Broadway. Still a very great actor.
And I guess he's on The Americans, but I haven't watched it.
I don't watch it either.
Annette O'Toole is in this. She was Lana Lang in Superman 3. And she was in 48 Hours. And it seems like she's been kind of like revisiting her own career, because then she was in Smallville, going back to Superman. And then she was in 11/22/63, going back to Stephen King stuff. 11/22/63 was another
Hulu series, wasn't it?
Series only on Hulu.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With Franco?
James
Yes,
Franco.
Yeah.
James Franco.
Yeah. What if you could travel back in time and prevent
The Kennedy
Kennedy from being
assassination.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I got kind of bored.
But we've got 2 sitcom actors in this. Harry Anderson was a stand-up comedian and then was famous for Night Court.
Yep.
Judge Harry on Night Court. And John Ritter, our buddy from Three's Company.
Yeah.
And later, JD's father on Scrubs.
Right.
Right?
Well, he was also on that ABC series, 10 Rules for Dating My Teenage
Daughter.
Wasn't that him?
I believe you if you tell me.
I think it was.
Yeah, I can't confirm that.
There's no way we'll ever know.
Never.
It's unknowable information.
Yep.
So it's interesting. These were, sitcom actors who I guess got tapped for this TV miniseries.
Yeah.
I kind of remember Harry Anderson being awesome in this.
He is. I thought he was great in it.
Yeah. A little bit funny, but not so funny.
But the funny thing is these characters, they have a levity to them, despite the fact that, like, at least from the book standpoint, despite the fact that it's so, horror-based and stuff, it's like, he wrote funny, interesting people, And I think that was necessary in the casting part.
Yeah. And then we have a whole cast of kids. The only one I think you'll recognize is Jonathan Brandis.
Hello? Seth Green?
Seth Green is
Are
in
you
this?
Are you
fucking
kidding me?
shitting
Seth
me?
Green?
You don't remember Seth Green?
I
No.
don't.
Yeah, he's in it.
This was before I knew Seth Green. Wow.
Whoa.
You will remember Jonathan Brandis, but
Damn
you'll
it.
also definitely remember the little redhead.
Shouldn't have said Seth Green, because now Sam's
That
going to
would
be
have been
like
so fun.
pulling
I'm not going to be
punches
able to
because she
go
works
into
for him.
work.
Oh, you do? Oh, neat.
Is he a scary person?
No, he's
Okay.
adorable.
He's one of the
He's
kids.
great.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
he's great. This is pre-X-Files, pre-everything.
He was in X-Files?
Holy
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was in...
There's a
I
lot of
have a
awesome movies and TV shows that have scary things or aliens that you've missed, that the rest of the world marches
Actually,
on.
I loved his episode of X-Files. He played this stoner that was sneaking into like an Air Force base. He's awesome.
Okay. He was in one episode.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were like...
I think it was like season 1 too.
I believe it was. I believe it was.
You're
season
telling
one.
me Seth Green played a stoner? I just can't
Just
believe it.
Believe me
Reaching.
for a second. Go with me
Reaching.
for a minute.
Yeah.
So I think we've got a pretty good cast for this caliber of production. Yeah. You know, some fun people. So what are we expecting here? Sam, are you going to be okay?
No, I'm
Based on
not.
that face.
I am not going to be okay, guys. I told my carpool buddy that I was watching this, and she was like, "You're never going to be able to leave your shower curtain closed.
Oh, gosh.
You're never going to be able to walk by a sewer vent thingy, and just give up on life after watching this movie because I am traumatized as an adult, and I watched as a kid.
Excellent.
So that's my expectation,
Oh boy.
and I can't say I'm looking forward to this experience. I'm
You're
doing
making
this
me
for you.
look forward to it more.
I know.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
just
funny
watching
to
you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna watch
React.
you watch the movie.
That's what I'm scared
Wow.
of.
What do you think, Brett?
Well,
Well,
there's two pieces of the Stephen King thing for me. One is all of my memories of the TV stuff I've seen of his, all the TV series. I kind of always get that feeling like this is going on too long, and this is a 3-hour thing, and I'm almost positive at some point I'm gonna just be like, this needs to end.
there is
And
that
then Brett will
Stephen-
throw his microphone into the TV.
There is that
I
Stephen
like that
King
TV.
quality.
It's a deliberate pacing that's too deliberate for me sometimes. But
But there's a lot of story here, so I'm hoping it keeps your attention.
this is the other part is Stephen King books are and the stories, even the slow stuff is way fun to remember because the stories are actually really good. And I think that's really what I'm looking forward to is just getting that whole picture again. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to like it. I just hope it's not boring.
Yeah, as much as I love Stephen King, there are a good amount of books and TV series that I've bailed on for those reasons. Like Under the Dome,
Oh Jesus.
I bailed on the book and the TV series. I just couldn't take it. So I hope this isn't that for you.
Well, I can't leave.
You stuck.
Well, let me throw my expectations here, which are I remember really, really liking this, both the book and this TV miniseries. But I read the book it at least 20 years ago. So it's been a long time, and I don't have a good memory. And I bought this DVD when the DVD came out, and I don't think I've watched it since.
Well, you lent it to me for like years, and I
And
never
you
watched
never
it.
watched it. This has only been in a player once ever. Yeah, but for a TV miniseries, sorry, Sam, I remember it being pretty scary.
Yeah, I
And
know.
pretty on
I
lock.
believe you.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't.
I don't.
and that's fair too, Ash, because I could be wrong, because this was 1990 me being afraid of this.
Yeah.
It could fall flat hard. And I'm
Please,
hoping it doesn't.
Please let it be the case.
So I'm very optimistic. I'm locked in for lots of nostalgia here, if nothing else. And I'm hoping it's
You're
scary.
nostalgic for killer clowns.
Only one.
It's more than just a clown.
Yeah. Yes. And leave that
Yeah.
A
laying
serial
there.
killer clown, I'm guessing.
So Ash, what do you expect?
I think I would have had higher expectations had I not seen the original trailer. And the original trailer, I watched it with Dalex and Bret, actually. Did I? I think I did. Didn't we
Yeah.
watch it
Yeah, we
together?
looked it
we
up.
did.
Remember, old trailers suck. Old TV movie trailers suck.
Yeah,
I mean,
hard.
new trailers suck. All trailers suck.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it just looked really dated, like to the point where I just don't think that I'm going to find it scary. I'm going to find it funny, I think. Unintentionally so.
But isn't there one thing about this that you would be thrilled about that I'm just now remembering I forgot to mention?
That Tim Curry is in it, and that's
Yes.
my man, Tim
so you've
Curry.
got to enjoy the Tim Curry.
Oh, I am definitely going to enjoy the Tim Curry. I just think I'm going to enjoy it not in the way that it's intended.
Okay. Can't believe I forgot about Tim Curry.
I know.
I know I was going to call you out on that, but I was letting it slide.
Come at me swinging, man.
Come at me, bro. So I'll be surprised if I find it scary. I feel like for me, it's going to be like Nightmare on Elm Street. I did not find Nightmare on Elm Street scary at all because I didn't grow up watching it, and I saw it, modern day time, and I just thought it was laughable, like some of the prosthetics and effects, and so I think it's going to be that for me.
I will say, I made you watch Nightmare.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I love the story. I love the mythology. Not particularly scary.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
This is.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm interested to see what all of the T-shirts in high school that said "I'm afraid of clowns" were about. So.
Okay. Now, Dalex, I want you to finish us off with your expectations. Cool. Before I do that, does anybody have thoughts about the new movie? This podcast will drop, I believe, September 9th. September 8th is when the new movie comes out.
I am very excited for the new movie.
Yeah.
I'm not even, like I said, I've never read the book, never seen this movie, but the trailer for the new movie just looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
And
delight.
I think the movie is half of the story we're about
Correct.
to see.
Yes,
And we'll
I
talk
think
more
it
about
is
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm not sure what
let's
they're doing.
get into that
but-
after
Yeah.
you see the thing. So, Dalex,
Yes.
thoughts? New movie, this one, whatever. What are we getting into?
New movie's going to be great. Here's the funny thing with remaking something. There has to be a need. And for a long time, I didn't see a need to remake this. But I will say that who they have playing Pennywise, despite probably a lot of people's ideas about it, I think couldn't be more perfect. And
Isn't he from American Horror
Wait,
Story?
who is it?
it's one of those Skarsgårds. I don't remember which one.
Yeah, it's
Alex,
one of-
maybe?
He's the one from True Blood?
Alexander.
True Blood.
Maybe?
That's it.
Really? The hot one?
I know, right? And everybody would be like, that can't be. But then when you
see
You're
the
going to watch this
makeup,
movie like,
though-
I'm scared, but I really want to fuck this clown.
But the whole design
Makes
of
you
how
look
they-
at
That's
greats
Alex's whole
different.
life.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna fuck that clown so hard. I want a big old red bush in my face.
Not rainbow.
What I wouldn't give for a squeaky horn right now.
Add it in
I was
post.
just saying, Brett will handle that. No, but I think it was the right time, especially given the success of Stranger Things. This is the right time for a remake to happen. And I also applaud them for making a little tweak and setting it in the 80s versus going all the way back to the 60s or the 50s when the original was set in, because it makes it more relevant to the audience, I think. So that minor twist I think will help. This one I love. I'll be honest. I watched it recently. I put it in after a long day of work and kind of fell asleep to it.
This is what you fall asleep to.
I know. Honestly,
But you have met Dalex before, right? He's a weird motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I have a lot of nostalgia wrapped around it, and I absolutely adore Tim Curry. If we could copy and paste him into the new movie in a new way, I would have been fine with that. But I think who they have doing Pennywise is going to be just fine. But yeah, and also between the kids and also the adult versions of them, you have just such a wonderful, as we were talking about, kind of array of different talented actors of the time. So it works. It works for me.
Right on. Well, we'll see if it still works.
Yeah.
In about 3 hours. So you can find it on the iTunes
Find
Store
what?
and the Google Play Store.
Find it.
and on DVD, but it's not
I
on
almost got
Netflix or anything. And we're going to dive right in, man. We're going to watch the whole TV miniseries, all 187 minutes of it. We got some pizzas on the way.
Actually,
We
they
got
might
some
have just
snacks.
arrived.
And so you might want to check it out, and we'll talk again after we watch it. Okay, with 5 minutes on the clock, and the clock is running, and I will cut you off. We are now halfway through it. So, what do we think?
Oh, it's a charming kid story.
Yeah.
Really beautiful. Charming.
Charming?
In the infamous words of Belch Huggins.
That's, yeah.
Is his last name Huggins?
See, there's so much detail in the book that you're missing.
Yeah, it sucks that you guys don't know about it. But it's too long to explain.
Oh my god.
I will say, I'm going to make a prediction right now that Seth Green is the best thing in this movie so far.
Maybe the best actor
Is that a
for
prediction?
sure.
I don't know. I
don't
mean,
think
it's
anything
still
better will
going.
happen?
It's still going. Oh.
I gotta give it up. Actually,
Dalex.
oh no, I'm sorry.
Alex.
The
Nobody
kid,
likes it when the kid does it in the movie either.
it's gonna be great to listen to on the podcast. The kid that plays Ben Hanscom's pretty good too, though.
Yeah. It was bugging me, and I thought he looks a lot like Seth Rogen. Mm-hmm. But I don't think... It was like, where do I remember him from? I've seen him as an adult. I think I remember him from this.
Yeah,
This is why he's familiar.
yeah, that's probably right.
I had this weird moment during that sewer scene, and where I could just only hear Nigel Thornberry harassing those children.
Yes! It's his laugh. It's his laugh.
It's like, oh my god.
Oh, I forgot that he was the voice of
He's
Nigel?
the voice of Nigel. Now, we should clarify that, I don't know if we clarified, we've only watched the first half.
Yes, this is intermission. We've only watched the first half. We're not done yet.
Oh boy.
But yes, he was Nigel Thornberry. That laugh.
That's so funny. I mean, he did so much. He was also what was the villain in Reboot?
Oh, yeah!
I mean, he's done so much voice work.
Wait, what villain in Reboot?
The villain, the guy that was,
The
there was
villain.
Hack and Slash, the two.
Oh, Sam. Sam, your
that
face
was
right
not.
now. How are you doing, Sam?
I was fine until that
That's why they
last
stopped
scene.
Reboot.
Which one? Where they pulled the kid down the pipe?
Maybe it was some other
Megabyte.
cartoon I
What?
was thinking.
No.
Megabyte?
Oh, that scene when he folded the kid in half. I was like,
Yeah.
mm-mm. And then the scene where he came after the adult Stan.
You think the clown came after? I think Stan killed himself.
I think Stan just killed himself.
Yeah,
he
Stan-
can't bear the idea of going back to Derry.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought the clown got him. Now I'm less
He
scared.
was lactose
Oh,
intolerant.
I guess I made you feel better. That wasn't really the goal.
Yeah. I mean, think about
man.
it. Like, the Pennywise isn't going to put it on the wall. It was him being like, I don't know. I mean, it's a storytelling device too, but,
Yeah.
you know.
But why? Okay, but if he... And I think he is supposed to have killed himself, but why draw it in blood on the wall?
Because
Yeah.
TV movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's goofy stuff that happens in TV.
It was actually just the start of his suicide note, but
It's a long story why I've decided to kill myself.
It's like the Monty Python joke where like, oh.
So it's bugging me so far as you know how sometimes you see movies where people are supposed to be teenagers, but the actor is clearly 25.
Who's 25?
Well, it's bugging me that there's a 10-year-old in this movie and the actor is clearly 80 years old.
Oh, yes.
That is the oldest child I've ever seen.
And the person playing him as an adult looks younger than he does as a child.
I feel like that kid wants the other kids to get off of his lawn.
I think he's got the Benjamin Button disease. I mean, his mom doesn't want him to get naked in front of other people in case they see his, white pubic hair, apparently.
Speaking of white hair,
Holy man dick. Like,
that's horrible.
the when what's that character's name?
We only have 5 minutes, Dalex.
we have
Hurry.
less than a minute. I
No,
know.
I'm just fucking with you.
Is it one of the kids?
Pennywise, Ben, Bill,
Stutter
George,
kid.
the bad kid.
Beverly.
Jeff Shitley.
Jeff Shitley.
Jeff Shitley.
When his hair goes white, I was like, what? I don't even remember that.
It was going Super Saiyan.
The light and everything.
Yeah. He's insane in the book. That's
and
just
the
funny.
membrane?
Yeah, it's exactly like they've right in the membrane. They've diagnosed it.
I mean, we didn't actually see that kid die, right?
Who, Belch?
The
When he got sucked in?
white-haired kid.
Oh, no.
Shitley.
He
We got about 17 seconds.
What was that?
No, I didn't want my phone to go
Oh.
to sleep. You've got something important to say. You have to say it in 10 seconds.
Okay, I think he's still alive.
9 seconds. Well, actually,
Totes
6
nope,
seconds
dude.
now.
That kid's
no.
toast.
You
Toast.
think he's dead? He's totes.
Yeah.
He's a
Back to
bleached
the movie.
asshole.
Oh.
Bro, did you just say a chapped asshole?
No, I said he's a bleached asshole.
Oh, well. Suddenly Malfoy from Harry Potter makes so much more sense.
That work's already done.
I like your simple works.
So that was it.
So that was the Stand By Me sequel.
Yeah.
Slash Alien.
Yeah, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. I don't know if the elephant in the room is that stole a lot from Stand By Me or strangely The Big Chill.
Yeah. Wow.
I have not seen
Oh,
the
I haven't thought about that movie in a long time.
Yeah, it was kind of The Big Chill.
Except
I
they don't
haven't
get
seen that.
stoned.
Somebody dies and all these like 40-year-olds get back together.
I haven't seen it.
It was also, it really was a lot like Clue at the end there. It was like, there's a dead body in the parlor, and they're all running around the mansion.
That was a lot like Stand By Me.
Yeah. I mean, a lot like Stand By Me.
I know, Nick, you probably haven't seen the trailer for Stranger Things season 2,
No.
but or no. Oh no, I'm confusing this with the trailer for the new movie. Never mind.
Well, I mean, I think the Stranger Things comment is valid because we've always been saying that Stranger Things is stealing or paying homage to Spielberg and Spielberg and King.
Oh, for sure.
So clearly this was a source material for Stranger Things. For sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn that off.
You don't want to stare into his deadlights?
I don't know who he's looking at, but it feels like me.
You know,
Does Deadlight sound slightly sexual to you?
Oh, well, it's just like, if you think about it, it was really more like headlights because it was the spider thing's nipples they were looking into. It was just like,
Yeah.
entrancing
Egg sacks.
entrancing
does
everyone
tie
with
it
its.
back into the sexual with the nipple comment there.
Yeah. The headlights were on.
I have to say, I am so disappointed.
Just cutting right to the chase
I'm
there.
sorry.
You have been keeping that in
Let's
for
just
3
keep
hours.
the episode short.
Oh, boy.
Ash
I
hates it.
just
You laughed the whole way through the movie.
I was not scared once.
We did get some good chuckles out of you.
I thought it felt like a parody to me, like especially the scene in the library where he's like telling the horrible dad jokes while he's trying to like talk to this other lady and like ignore him, and Pennywise is just like cracking these like awful dad jokes. It just felt like a parody to me, like the balloon pop like comes up and floats next to somebody and pops and they're like, oh my god, you know, and it's just like so ridiculous. Like
The popping the balloons in people's faces and they weren't moving.
yeah, like the only thing it's missing is like kitties and puppies to be scary. I don't know. It just
It's tough because you're not wrong.
At all.
You know, I said before, like, I thought this was very scary, but it might fall flat. And I think I'm kind of in that same place. And it's tough. And Dalex, you're going to help us because you've read the book most recently.
Yeah.
But the book definitely feels way more solid.
Yeah, and I think part of it, and yes, you're absolutely right. The book has more meat to it, and one thing that Stephen King, like the value in it, is that he creates things that he creates scary shit out of everyday stuff, and it's really hard to translate that to screen usually.
I
Like,
mean,
in
The
his
Birds
writing-
is another example of a filmmaker doing that. Like a bird is not normally scary. And I think I don't fault Stephen King because I think there's a lot of potential there, which is why I'm still personally excited for the new movie.
Same.
But I think it was poorly executed.
I agree.
Yeah.
The fault is clearly not in the source material. The fault here is the production value.
yeah,
And
just the
the writing.
filmmaking.
Yeah.
It did affect me as a 12-year-old or whatever I was. But now it feels very flimsy. It feels like a very flimsy production of a story that's got much more depth.
Yeah.
And Sam, you were talking about like if this had better music, it would be a completely different story.
Yeah, I said better sound effects and better music.
Yeah,
And I think better
that's one
acting
component of
too.
it.
Yeah, the acting wasn't great.
It's hard to blame the acting. I think it's like
Because it's TV and there's such a short turnaround.
exactly.
Such a short
If you
turnaround.
watch, what's the Night Shyamalan movie, The Happening?
Yeah.
Those are not bad actors.
No, it's
but
bad
they were
everything
clearly
else.
not given enough time to rehearse those characters. And I feel like this was probably shot under the gun really quickly.
And it's because they came out of Canada, and this is at a time when Canadian actors weren't at the same level. No, I'm just saying.
Throwing shade. On
They didn't have
Canada.
arrows shooting there in every other CW show.
That's
at
a
the time.
hot take from Dalex. Fuck Canada.
No. Fuck Canadian actors. Canada, keep doing what you're doing.
Keep making that delicious syrup.
Those kid actors weren't that bad, actually.
Yeah.
No, the kid actors weren't that bad.
Yeah,
It feels like they spent more time with them.
Jonathan Brandis was schmacting like crazy. He looked
I
off.
was on board with him.
The scene that we had to watch over and over again really was annoying the piss out of me because he'd look out in the middle of nowhere. And honestly, the first scene with Georgie, I was like, why are you acting like you know he's going to die? You're just giving him a boat.
Yeah.
That's direction.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's not Brandis's fault.
Well, and also writing. Like, why would
Yeah.
you be like, be careful?
Right.
Like, why?
Because you're trying to heavy-handedly foreshadow to the audience.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about, though, Dalex. Like, more than just that character, did the super cheesy soap opera staring off into the distance
the
like thing.
smell the
Well,
fart acting.
Yes.
To be fair, that might have been fantastic acting considering the whole town was it. They were all spacing out because they were under the control of this crazy...
I doubt that was so
Yeah,
Spider
I
tits.
don't know about that.
But you know,
I'm trying, guys.
You might be the same filmmakers from Room 473. A little bit of a reach.
Yeah.
the kid who played Ben, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Seth
Seth-
Green was pretty
Seth Green was
amazing.
really good.
Very, very good. Grounded work.
Yeah.
But like I've seen Annette O'Toole be fantastic, and she was not consistently fantastic in this.
No.
I feel
was
like
it
she just
the
wasn't
grown-up
given-
version?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She just
And what
wasn't
was
given time.
why was she like making out with everybody?
I don't know, that
Like,
was-
I was
what
so
was that
uncomfortable,
about?
especially as John Ritter like slowly became her clothes
Yeah.
towards the end of the movie. Like he will not stop wrapping his arm around
Using her as a human shield. And,
Yeah,
oh, man.
he was just making me really uncomfortable. There's that really tense scene where Bill turns the boat around and it goes back down the little thing, and if you look in the background, John Ritter is just gripping Annette O'Toole.
Yeah. Trying to get into her skin.
It's awkward. It's so gross.
It's weird because, like, yeah, another thing that the book does that, you know, obviously they were not able to convey with the actors available was this Bev's Bev's
Just
like
the ones
inability to
around.
find any like worthy or trustworthy relationship. Like the relationship she leaves to come back to Derry felt really scary.
Oh, that was the scariest
That
thing
was
in
the
the movie.
scariest.
Well, it's even scarier in the book. Like it paints her husband in the book as this really manipulative, like controlling aggressor, and this guy was just kind of like a sleaze.
And
anyway,
the relationship with her father,
he-
too, was pretty...
Yeah,
He
I
was
think
just
that's
pretty
like
bad.
a Stephen King hallmark, though, is the scariest thing is people.
yeah, for sure.
And I think that's why, honestly, all of that aside, I could have still been on board with this film for all of that stuff. But I'm so disappointed that it ended up being a weird crab spider alien thing, crab
Okay.
people. Like,
Let's talk about it.
yeah, because
Was it a spider?
I don't know. It did have the
It was
small...
technically a squid.
No, I was gonna say it was a crawdad.
Yeah, I would
I think
go
it's
with...
none of the above.
Yeah.
It is it.
It had 6 legs.
It is an undefinable evil force that's been there for eternity
Then why did we have to define it in this weird form?
because it took on the shape that would scare them the most. And
So it's a Bogart.
I don't
Well,
know
that's
that.
a good. That's a Harry Potter reference.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it is.
But like, you never see the Bogart's real form. You just see what scares you. So like,
Oh, yeah.
in my
Okay, yeah.
opinion, it would have been scarier to see them. Like, I would have felt more satisfied, I think, to see them kill the clown.
I disagree because I think the closest thing we got to the true form is the lights.
Yeah.
And that's why I really like when.
But
the
I'm
scene
saying
where
I
the
don't
kids
need a
fought
true
it,
form.
And the lights flew across them in this weird, undefinable form.
Yeah.
That's the closest we ever got to it.
Because then
And I
you
feel
can
like-
fill in the blanks as it should be.
It doesn't have a true form. It's just fear.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
just
the way
whatever
they were
you're
going
afraid
with
of.
it, though, I feel like if they just killed the clown, that would have been a little anticlimactic too. Because like the first time they hit him in the head, and it's like, oh, I'm glowing, and like, but like, what if he just died and there's just like Tim Curry lying on the ground at the end? You're just like, oh,
We would have felt very, very ineffective as well. I
Well, I'll
think.
tell you.
yeah, there wasn't really a good way out of this.
I mean,
they
was
had-
killing a crab beast by like Indiana Jones style pulling out its heart effective? I don't think so.
It was fucking
Definitely
metal.
not.
If they had physically ripped open the clown to expose lights and torn that apart, I would have been just as happy as what they
See,
did.
I think
Yeah.
that would have been better. I
I think they're equal.
Because it needs to be something that no person has ever seen or experienced or could fathom.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be that level of jarring.
And if you ask Joel Silver, the scariest thing you can put on screen is a giant spider.
Yeah.
but it just wasn't.
I mean,
Good.
think about the stop motion and animation from Honey, We Shrunk the Kids
Yeah.
and the spider.
I'm not trying to say what they did in this movie was good. What I'm trying is to salvage the intent behind it, because there is something much deeper to that I feel like I got from the book,
Yeah.
from my hazy memories
So-
of the book.
So maybe in the book it came across better, but to me, I was hoping for more based in like grounded in reality, like more motivation for this character. I was like, maybe there was a circus in this town 200 years ago,
Yeah.
and this crazy clown creature died, and its ghost spirit is now taking revenge, and like, I guess I wanted a story more like that.
But I feel like this is a force that feeds off of the fears of its victims. And once upon a time, 100 years ago, it saw, wow, some people are creeped out by clowns. I'm keeping that.
Yeah.
And then when it killed Georgie, it said, wow, people are creeped out by this it floats concept. And it clung onto that. So it finds things that really creeps people out, and maybe the giant spider is one of them.
Well, to me, actually, I thought it took on the form of a clown because it is inviting and it's something it can use to get what it wants.
But if it's a monster trying to hide as a clown to look inviting, it starts failing at that really quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it can't contain how much it wants to scare people.
So this is a question I have, because I feel like even at the end of it, after all the resolution, I'm a little confused as to what the rules of the monster were.
I think coincidentally it's Nightmare on Elm Street rules. If you don't believe in it and you don't give it power, it dies.
But doesn't the whole town not believe in it?
I
I think the town is atrophied.
Yeah, I think this town subconsciously has like fully bought into it. They just don't know about it.
Okay, because I kind of had this thought that like the only thing that kept it alive for 30 years was that one guy didn't move away.
Oh, interesting.
If he had moved away, it would have died.
You know,
yeah.
he addressed like that character addresses that in the book, where he's like, look around the table, like every single one of you has become successful in some way. Designer, architect, writer, famous radio DJ. And look at me, I've got literally nothing. And I don't know. Yeah, it's like he is sort of like an anchor for
So
Pennywise.
it is his fault, is what you're saying.
Maybe.
I like how it's like, you've all become very successful. Like you're a novelist who writes horror stories. You are incredibly successful and respected, and people love you. You're the best person in the world.
And I peddle your wares at my library.
Yeah.
The glowing.
The glowing. That was a little dissatisfying.
Oh, yeah. The glowing.
I don't understand
How does
why.
Stephen King not take offense to that? You know what I mean?
I don't understand why they all like forgot each other. Like they said they contradicted themselves because they said at one point they're like, oh, that one guy's like, I even forgot I had a brother. But then at another point they said, as soon as I came into town, I couldn't remember anything. It's like, so is it being in the town or is it not being in the town? I don't understand.
I felt like they had different experiences. It was weird that Eddie had a different experience from the others.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense, and also I don't think is in line with how Stephen King wrote it, because it was that the further they got away from it, the less they remembered, because I think Pennywise needed them to not come back, and that's how he grew power, by them forgetting him and allowing him to sort of regenerate. At least that's what I think.
So all of them forgetting at the end means he's still not dead.
Yeah.
Well, we have a sequel.
They pulled out a fake heart.
Sequel.
Is it a reboot?
It's a reboot.
It's a reboot.
Yeah, the new movie is like a
remaking.
new version of it.
Just kidding. I don't know what I'm saying.
So I have a question. Steven, you're listening to the show, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, Steven, what 50s greaser kid hurt you? Are you okay, man? Like, there's some pain in Stephen King's childhood.
Yeah.
Also, Stephen, can we talk about asthma for a second? Because that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Water actually makes it better.
He didn't have asthma, though.
Yeah, he had placebo asthma.
Plus asthma.
We don't know, though, because everybody kept telling him that he didn't have asthma, but yet he was using water and it was working and making him better. So maybe he really did have asthma.
I think it's safe to say that was a device that a writer came up with that
Oh,
they did
absolutely.
not do their research.
They don't understand how asthma works at all.
It works from a, heavy-handed storytelling mechanism.
It's battleshipping. It's
A little bit, yeah.
People don't know how that works.
Battleshipping a medical condition. Yeah.
So because there's obvious parallels here, and I did some research, and I didn't get the answer I wanted because to me,
Bad at research.
I'm bad at research. I gotta just tweet Stephen King and ask him. Maybe he'll respond. But obviously, John Wayne Gacy is a pretty obvious parallel to Pennywise in modern day. And I was like, I wonder if that's where he drew some inspiration. And then the only answer I got was that at one point he was living in Boulder, Colorado. He had an AMC Matador. Transmission fell out of it, and on the way back to the dealership when it was repaired, he had this idea of a modern day troll story. Like he walked over some sort of grate or drain or something. It was like his boots were clicking in a way that he was trapping over my whatever. And so he set out to tell a modern day troll story, like the troll under the bridge or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's way different than what I was expecting.
Yeah. But I think the idea of hey, a clown would be a creepy bad guy. There's not a lot of stretch to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I like, Sam, when you notice the hello, my name is Bill Denborough. You killed my brother. Prepare to die.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about all the hugging in this movie?
Lots of hugging.
There was so much hugging.
There was a lot of group love in here.
The power of belief and friendship.
And group sex.
Well,
Potentially.
Implied.
kissing every guy
Except for that
except
one
Eddie.
virgin guy. Fuck him. Or don't fuck him.
He's like, guys, I just want to let you know, I've never had sex. And she's like, oh, that's too bad. Let's go inside. Sorry.
I'm more bothered with hey guys, before we go in there, I want to wrap up my character arc and just share a little exposition.
Yeah, because I'm going to die.
Completely pointless.
Because he's like, I've never had sex. I'm a virgin. And then immediately got crabbed.
Oh, Bret.
It really is a very awkward conversation. It's like, okay, but we're going to go kill a monster? Maybe we don't need to talk about this
Right now?
But they called it out, too. He was just like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing.
Yeah, grown-up Seth Green was like,
I'm really glad that Harry Anderson was funny in this.
yeah. Hell yeah.
I enjoyed
Was
that.
he?
I thought he was.
Well,
Except for that
19
When he wasn't hamming it up, it was like all the one-off stuff was pretty good.
Him with those tennis rackets at the end, I was like, what were they even going for?
I'm not saying he was the best, but he's a funny character.
Not his fault. Tennis rackets was somebody else's dumbass idea.
Yeah.
Tennis rackets.
Yeah.
So how about that? I don't know which is worse, the ponytail or the leather string that he used to tie the ponytail.
Like a part of me thinks he must have just been doing like some stage work or some period piece and was like, guys, I'll do your movie.
Get it out of his face.
But I just can't cut my hair. Because he's like... He's been
you mean the actor was doing some... Yeah.
In my heart, I want to believe that Richard wasn't like... That was his style of the time.
Yeah.
I truly want to believe that he had some commitment that he could not cut his hair.
Well, I was curious because, like, obviously he's supposed to be Stephen King, right? Like, he is kind of Stephen King embodied.
Yeah,
and
that character's
in
in
the
half
movie,
of Stephen King's books.
Yes. Yeah.
But, like, so I was wondering, did Stephen King have a ponytail? Is that... No.
He did have he had more of like a mulletish thing at one point. I don't know that he ever had a ponytail.
Because I was wondering if they were just trying to nod towards... I don't know.
No, I think you're probably right, Dalex. It reminds me of, I can't remember the actor's name who played the Joker in the Batman 66, the TV
Caesar.
version.
Caesar.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking
Romero.
about. Maybe. I can't remember his last name.
And he refused to shave his mustache.
Yeah.
So they just put grease paint over his mustache.
Oh,
Which
no.
always looked ridiculous,
Yeah.
but that's what it was.
Oh, no.
Is that where that's from?
What's
What's
that?
from?
Is that why he always had that mustache?
Yeah, because he refused to shave.
Thought it was a purposeful style decision.
It did kind of make the Joker extra creepy.
Yeah.
Like, who puts makeup over a mustache?
Mustache, yeah, like, what?
I've been
You have larger issues to tackle.
I've been rewatching The Office, and there's a Halloween episode where Creed comes dressed up as the Joker, and he's the most terrifying Joker I've ever seen on screen.
Yeah, that would do
Creed
it.
was scary anyway. You don't have to put clown makeup on him.
I read somewhere that most of the Creed stories were actually stories that the actor...
No, yeah. Did I tell you I met him?
He's real.
I met that actor at like a benefit thing once in Ojai, and like he was like telling me, I had just seen the episode where he talks about being in a bluegrass band, and then I walk up and I was chatting up with him, and he was like telling me how he was in a bluegrass band with Ray Bradbury, and it was like a benefit for Ray Bradbury or something, and I was like, this is so insane. And
I don't even care if this is true.
there was a snack table, like with like fancy cheeses and stuff, and everybody was off with their wine. Nobody was at the table. He was just sitting there chowing down at the table, like true Creed style. It was so great.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was amazing. Highlight.
So I haven't seen any trailers for the new movie,
What?
Me neither.
but
I think there's an even newer one out.
and
There
tell
is,
me,
yeah.
Tell me if this is what's happening. I feel like the first movie is the kids, and if there's a second movie, it's the adults.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not to say they won't intertwine them a little bit, maybe. But yes, the predominant narrative of movie one is
Which
set in the 1980s with the kids.
I would argue is the better way to tell this story, because I
I'm
found
curious to see it
I found the first half of this film so boring.
with the kids. Was boring?
No, with the flashing back.
The
to
flashing back and forth,
Oh, okay.
because nothing was actually happening with the adults.
All exposition.
And then we would finally, it was like playing Assassin's Creed, right? When you're in the Animus and you're like, this is awesome. And then they pull you out and you're like, son of a bitch.
Now I have to walk around an office.
I just want to get back to the awesome part.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like there could have been a more fleshed out story with the kids that instead they sacrificed in order to have a more fleshed out story with the adults. But the kids was the more interesting thing to me, because I like this idea. Like, I like the idea that the kids see the stuff that adults don't. And that felt more scary to me than the adults seeing balloons.
You like
and,
Stand By Me.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's this thing that I'm constantly talking about in this show. It's the story told from the perspective of the children, and the horror story told from the perspective of the children. Like you're talking about, the adults don't understand.
Yeah.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say wish fulfillment, and I was like,
No wish fulfillment.
Like the scene where she brings them in and shows them the sink, and she's like, oh my God, you see it too. Like, that could be a really powerful scene, you know, if done a little bit better.
Yeah, it was like they didn't give it the time it deserved.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And those flashback transitions, so bad.
So this is why I am optimistic about a remake, because I think that structure is interesting. But it's also why I didn't want to break this up and do 2 different episodes out of this, because I do feel like what we just watched, you have to watch the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have been a full story if we just broke it in half.
Yeah. Well,
I hope I didn't waste your time with all that.
You definitely would have gotten different perspectives. I think part 1 would have been more optimistic, and then part 2 would have been like, this horse shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
But all that aside, it actually kept my interest pretty damn well for being 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised.
Huh.
There were a few slow bits,
Yeah.
but I never felt the way Bret said he was afraid of feeling.
See?
Oh, I
Did
hit
you feel that?
I hit
felt
that point like minutes into Act 2.
Yeah.
Like
Me too.
Ugh.
Thank you. I was like, I totally
guys.
see what you were talking about.
I don't know. Lady Hawk, I think, felt
So
longer.
you want to try a 1,000-page novel version of it?
if the one guy was like, "Hey, like welcome to town. I've arranged dinner for all of us when we all get here." And then they cut to like after dinner and everyone's already there, and then cut straight to let's go monster hunting. Like,
Yeah. We didn't need the montage of them drinking and enjoying
that
themselves.
was
montage
silly.
could have been, instead of a montage of them just eating dinner, it could be a montage of them like getting back together and gearing up for a monster hunt.
Yeah.
Tonally, it was really off-putting because it just it was so jarring, that moment of them having that montage dinner, because I was like, the fuck, this is a
Well,
different movie all of a sudden.
Let me speak in defense of the montage, just to put it out there. I'm not saying I really feel like it should have been there, but we had a lot of very tender moments of them as kids together being happy,
Yeah.
and we needed to have that as adults.
It
I
just
totally
it was a little
agree.
jagged in terms of like the transition
yeah.
into it. And
Yeah.
the
I'm not
music
saying
was
this movie was well
no,
executed.
no. I understand.
Just a word of defense for that.
Yeah, I see what they were trying to do. It just wasn't executed properly. Like
Yeah.
it would have been better to have those moments along the way instead of
But it felt like we went from the scariest, like Blair Witch, into "Wake me up before you go." And I was like, what?
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
That's all. But yes, I believe that we needed to have it because it's important that they all have that reuniting. But it was not executed at
well, it was kind of like pitched as them being together was what made them powerful. But then that should have been the moment that saved the day. And in fact, that wasn't. It was What's-Her-Face running off alone, shooting the monster.
Yeah, right? Like we were down 2 people and they just stormed in there and she was like underhand shot, you know?
Yeah, and the dinner. I think that's what it is once they were back in town and you had it like giving them spooky warning, it should have been like more scary all the time because it wants them the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it would have been more interesting if that Henry guy didn't die first off. Like if he killed one or 2 of them before
Yeah.
they got that, like
That was an interesting device.
yeah,
just ended
because
too
that was
quick.
like a serious obstacle.
Yeah.
Like the first time, it felt like there was a real obstacle, and then it's like, well, it's over.
And it was interesting that
Let's just leave him in the room.
It was interesting
right?
that
Like,
it acknowledged that. Like, I need a real, tangible, living
Yeah.
person on my side.
I was like, this is interesting. I like this. I like this idea of there being this physical agent for it, but then they just didn't.
That actually
dispatched
felt like
him.
a whole
Yeah.
decade older
was-
than them, though.
He was Renfield.
Yeah.
Dracula
Holy
needs a
moly.
Renfield.
Yeah.
Oh. There
But
you go.
I did want to go back to talking about that tonal shift from scary to happy out of nowhere. I think it more gives me respect for the times I've seen that actually working. Because if you remember Stand By Me, because clearly that's the analogy here.
Yeah.
They,
Well, this
they're-
is the sequel, right? Yeah.
they're in the junkyard and they have this very deep emotional conversation about how Corey Feldman's father is abusing them. Then boom, next beat, they're having their montage, cooking hot dogs, talking about, which flavor of Pez they prefer or whatever, what food they would have. And it was very tightly knit together, the really sad emotional stuff with the really happy group bonding stuff. This stuff can be executed properly when you've got a good director with more time to work with.
Yeah, and it might honestly just be as simple as kids can do that. You can't just sit down with adults and be like, we're here to fight a fucking monster, and I guess we should eat dinner first. And then no one's going to have a good time at that dinner.
Yeah.
Like,
I think also Stand By Me succeeds in that because it feels more grounded in like reality. And this is like, hey, we're fighting a clown. You know, it's like I'm already not really taking this super seriously.
You were so not taking
I'm
this movie
sorry.
seriously.
I laughed through the whole thing.
Like
I'm
literally
sorry.
from the first like 3 minutes.
It was so funny.
I really feel like
Ash really laughs at clowns. It works.
Yeah.
I really feel like there's a very different experience for people who've read the book and who haven't.
Yeah.
Because for me, seeing Georgie chasing that boat down the gutter is heart-wrenching. That scene hurts. But you guys have never read the book. You see Tim Curry in the sewer in ridiculous grease paint, and it's hilarious. And I get that. But it's got a different weight.
I think,
Yeah.
and I think also, I think it also didn't feel scary to me because, I mean, number one, this movie is not lit like a horror film. Yeah. It's not lit.
Oh,
like
it was
horror
done
film.
with a TV crew, no doubt.
Yeah, it is lit
A
like a
1980s
broad
TV crew.
day comedy family sitcom. That's not helping it.
Yeah.
And then also, I think the costume design isn't helping it either.
You didn't like John Ritter's vest?
Well, that was rough.
No, I mean, Tim Curry, you know, he like, there's the one part where he sprays him with the thing and his face starts melting. And I was like, oh, now he looks scary.
Yeah.
And
I also thought that the mummy Pennywise in the house was pretty scary.
that was scary too.
That was some
But
good
then
facial press
the
there.
rest of the time, he just sort of looks like a normal clown. And like, I would have really liked to see him like go further and further into this like just demon looking
So it
clown.
didn't work for you when he looked down, they cut, and then he looked up and he had razor teeth.
Yeah.
That didn't work for you?
Oh.
Yeah,
But
when
the
you can
new
see the strings, you're like, I'm
Yeah.
not buying it.
the new trailer though, I think, you know, Tim Curry plays it as a very like happy, laughing clown. And in the new trailer, it seems like they're taking a much more creepy approach. And the clown is very
quiet.
deadpan.
It's the post Nolan effect is what it is.
Yes.
God.
Yeah.
There's
But-
camp is
The end
a
is
sin
first, the
nowadays.
middle is at the end.
Did you originate that term, or is that somebody else's work? I like it. I've never heard
There's
it
no
before.
way I made that up, but
Okay.
I don't know where I got it from.
You could trademark it, and I won't tell.
All right. But I think a lot of this comes back to actually. I think my prediction was correct at the beginning, which was a lot of Stephen King stuff is more fun to think about than it is to go through the first time.
Might be more fun to read than to actually see realized.
Yeah.
As a
I could see
visual
this
artifact.
being much more powerful as a novel than, you know, like the scenes, like even the idea of them all being together and holding hands. I could see that working better in literature than it does like the visualization of a group of people holding hands and huddling together. It's not, it just looks silly, you know?
And I'm stoked on the idea of like a monster living in the sewers under a town, like abducting all the kids, and like the adults are psychically unaware of it. Like, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And it's just, the movie didn't play it well.
It is kind of interesting to think that on a movie TV budget, the concept that you get in the book is not going to be realized, and the best you can do is have a creepy clown. And then people get caught up in this creepy clown. But best possible scenario in 1990 is to put Tim Curry in grease paint. Like, they really played the best hand they possibly could have played.
That's where their whole budget went.
Yeah.
Just to
Painful.
making sure that
That's
they
true.
secured the scariest motherfucking guy, who's also charming.
Yeah. It
but
didn't
scary
quite
as
work,
fuck.
but that's the best play they had.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, and here we are, however many years later, talking about this damn movie.
Something has
enthusiastic.
pulled us all together here.
I almost feel
20
closer
years
to all
later.
of you.
27 years.
You know, I couldn't remember any of your names before I
God,
came
it's-
in this room.
I think in the book, was it 26 years?
25, 26, yeah.
It's been 27 years, you guys.
Dude.
What? Wow.
So,
So that was it.
Yep.
All right, so
So I'm not gonna lie, it took me like 4 times for that joke to play in the movie before I was like, oh, I see what you did there, Nick. Because I thought
What
you were just
joke?
making a lame joke about always saying it, but making it sound like the sentence. But they actually did it like 3 or 4 times in the beginning of the movie.
I guess they kind of did, yeah. So Sam, I want to hear your final thoughts. Was you scared?
No, I wasn't.
That's disappointing.
I know. I mean,
It's probably my fault.
yeah,
laughing
Ash
a lot.
definitely helped save me from that a little bit.
Honestly, I think you'll find that this is the case for most of the horror genre. None of it's
Not
really scary.
For Stranger Things, like
Unless it's gore.
legitimately,
Like, gore horror is
I
pretty
still
fucked
find
up.
Blair Witch
But
to be
that's just-
terrifying. Like I can still put that shit in and watch it, and I'm like, man, that's fucking scary. But that's about it.
There's like few and far between.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stranger Things, I was legitimately like creeped out, and like at night I didn't sleep with my back to the edge of the bed, sort of thing.
Really? I didn't find Stranger Things scary at all.
I mean, I wasn't like too terrified to watch it, but it definitely stuck with me.
But they knew
movie,
Because you don't have the walls that like
not as much.
bend out when you press on them. Our house is
jeez.
fucked up.
Also, we've never seen
What?
He's making a bad
Is that like the
joke.
most nonchalant reaction to having a ghost in your house? Our house is totally fucked up.
wait, you guys don't
there's a
have-
spirit, he's got unfinished business.
You guys don't have hand walls?
Not in this apartment.
Yeah, no, it didn't really scare me. I think I was kind of creeped out after the first half, up until the point where you guys told me that guy killed himself. I thought it came up through his drain and killed him, and then wrote it in blood on the wall, and I was like, that's pretty creepy.
It signed its work.
Yeah,
This one's mine.
yeah,
That would have been scarier, though.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So I was very disappointed.
It can't leave that town.
Yeah.
Well, I thought
really?
it could, and I was like, damn, that's creepy.
You're telling me it has death lights and it's a crab creature and it can fly around and it can't leave this town?
And it called
Why?
itself the World Eater? Or
It
something?
did,
Did it call
yeah.
itself that?
Yeah.
And Child Eater or something, yeah.
I eat
Oh,
worlds
here it comes.
and children or something like
children, it eats you up. It's a child eater. So, Brett, how do you feel? How are your emotions?
I think just as a general recap, I didn't like this. I wanted
I'm
to.
glad it was 3 hours.
Yeah, no, it's. I will enjoy it later, and that's what it'll be. Is there's
Meaning the movie?
the story. I don't think the movie's ever like the movie is irredeemable as far as like
Wow,
because
challenge laid down.
it wasn't scary.
No, it wasn't scary
And-
at all.
That's really the only job it had. So
I mean the new movie.
oh, the new movie. I don't know about the new movie. That the preview looked pretty scary for it. The trailer.
I just hope that they don't still make it an alien in the end. Like, I don't know.
Are you sitting here thinking it's an alien?
It's not an alien.
I do. Yeah. It
probably
looks like an
closer to-
alien to me.
It's probably closer to like a demonic force.
More like an old one.
Yeah.
I guess it just looked like a weird alien creature
Yeah.
to me.
But yeah, the new movie. I think
But this
the new
was like-
movie is gonna be scarier, specifically because of the whole like people don't do camp anymore.
Yeah.
So
They've got budget and time.
and every scene with the clown is gonna be, actually at least maybe not scary, but full of menace, which this
Or
kind of lacked.
suspense.
It had small doses of it.
Yeah, and it
When
was
they-
the
when
couple
they-
scenes.
Yeah, exactly. When there was sort of not distance, but some sort of distance between. Again, you can't. The less that you show, the more powerful it is. I
Yeah,
think that's
like
always the way it is.
I think the most menacing scene is actually the one with the girl in the bathroom,
Yeah, that bubble.
and he's not in that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
because you don't know what's down there.
And then like that little girl saying like, we're all
Oh, and-
floating. Yeah, like
Clearly they can't show this in a TV movie, but a clown ripping a child's arm off through a sewer grate?
Yeah, I think that's why I particularly didn't find it scary, is anytime anybody died, the camera just kind of moved over them and they'd just fall backwards slowly, and it'd be like, I guess I'm using my imagination here because you didn't shoot anything.
Well, also, you can't show that on ABC. So.
Yeah.
But did you notice later when they showed Ghost Georgie, he had one of the arm sleeves of his jacket was very limp?
I did, yeah.
Like he had no arm?
Yeah, that's a little creepy.
Yeah.
Which is weird because if you think about it, Ghost Georgie should have just been an arm because that's the only part that the monster left with.
What?
Oh my god.
Just an arm?
And no body.
It's me, Georgie.
Was it Ghost Georgie or was it it?
For the listeners, Nick did the
puppet.
He did
Puppet
a hand
hand.
puppet.
Wow. Ash, help us. Give us your thoughts.
I don't know that I'm going to help you. I'm kind of in agreement with Bret here. I didn't really find it scary. In fact, I thought it was rather boring, and when it wasn't boring, I thought it was hilarious. Unintentionally so. It was like, it reminded me of watching, because in high school we used to watch these bad 80s films.
I feel like this sets us up for laughing at a lot of horror movies because that's all we did in high school.
That's all we did in high school is we would watch, like, you know, Carnosaur and shit like that, and it just felt like I was watching Carnosaur again.
Dead and Breakfast, which was awful.
Oh God, yeah.
In high school, ours was Sleepaway Camp. That whole series, we would just watch and laugh at it.
Oh man, but I think to leave it on a positive though, I think there are nuggets of potential in this story, like in the story itself, that I think can be very scary, and so I am very interested to see what they do with that in the new film, because I think the new film approaches it from a much more serious perspective than this did.
So are you and I on kind of the same page that this is just not the right retelling of the story?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I was preoccupied watching this movie because in the beginning we compared it to Nightmare on Elm Street. And I said that I like the story. I like the mythology of Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's not that scary. This would be better. And I was really struck by how much it was like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Interesting. I actually think, in comparison, I think Nightmare on Elm Street for me was scarier than this, even though I laughed at Nightmare on Elm Street as well. But like, I think I guess I liked this whole on Nightmare on Elm Street. The thing is, that's scary is this whole cerebral idea of you fall asleep. And, you know, he can only get you in your sleep. And, like, there's something so great about that. And I guess that's why with it, as soon as they gave it this physical form that wasn't a scary clown or whatever, it, you know, wasn't some sort of shapeshifter thing, it just completely took the power out of it for me. And it wasn't scary to me anymore, as opposed to if it was just shape-shifting, like, what if it was her dad at the end and she had to kill her dad? You know, like, what if it was shape-shifting between all these people? That would have been so much scarier and powerful.
It's weird because they set it up like they had that line in there where it was like, you can only see what your minds can comprehend or whatever. Like they were trying to set it up like even the spider wasn't its final form.
Yeah.
But,
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah, but
it
think
felt like it was.
It did. It really did.
So here's where this concept worked, funny enough. In a comedy form, Gozer
Oh, wow.
in Ghostbusters choose the form and it
Right.
becomes the Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
That's where this concept worked because it was played for laughs.
Yeah. And I mean, again, though, it works in Harry Potter with Bogarts. Like, Harry Potter sets that up, and you never need to see what a Bogart really looks like. We never get to see that. But it's still an interesting, scary creature.
Yeah.
I just hit my mic. Sorry, Bret.
It's thinking about it. I feel like a lot of, unknowable monster kind of genre stuff. Usually they don't kill the monster. They like banish it or lock it away. And I feel like that kind of takes away from the whole story too, that they killed it.
Yeah, that it's a physical thing that they can kill. Like that kind of bothers me too, as opposed to like Freddy Krueger. He's not a physical thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's more like coming over this mental thing. And I wanted something deeper like that instead of like, well, let's just rip his heart out.
Yeah.
It was so fucking metal. Like that was a pretty cool
metal.
Pretty savage.
Taking you down, spider crab.
Crab
One
beast.
organ at a time.
So yeah, I think that's my final feeling, is that it did not hold up to my memory. It was not as scary as I remembered it would be. But there was more depth and power to it because I'm half remembering a book that I read 20 years ago.
Totally, yeah.
So the important beats of this movie still have resonance for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely see how this TV movie production fell short of all of that.
Boy, howdy.
Let us have it, Dalex. Bring us home.
A part of me still loves this damn movie, even though it's such garbage. I mean, given the restraints that work. I mean, it's like ABC.
Hey, if you love it, own it. Own it.
I do, but like when you have, and that's why I'm so excited about the feature film, because there won't be such like murder by committee. Like a committee will ruin something so fast, and whatever things are in place to keep television shows from being awesome, and networks and stuff are part of the problem here. And I believe a novice director / other, like some novice filmmaker was responsible for why this is poop. But like there are
a Baywatch director.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at best,
like literally.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh fuck
Yeah.
me. Really?
Yeah. That was
Okay, well that explains a lot, guys. And the writing was also so limited. It's like if you were gonna make it a miniseries, fucking maybe really make it a miniseries. Let's do 6 parts or something. I don't know. But like that just wasn't the scope of the time.
Do you think, Bret, should it be longer?
Okay, so
if it was a Ryan Murphy world, we could do it.
Like just throw it off the deep end of like do a full like HBO 10 episode, like Westworld it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And let's come back to your final thoughts, Dalex, because I forgot to bring up. Have you guys heard of Castle Rock?
No.
Like entertainment group?
Like Fraggle Rock?
Exactly. No. So Hulu is making a TV series called Castle Rock, which
Fraggle Rock.
which will weave together characters and stories from different Stephen King books. Sort of in the way, what's the Disney one?
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time, but for Stephen King stories.
Yeah, this felt like Once Upon a Time with all the hugging.
That's what the Dark Tower was supposed to do. Anyway.
So maybe we'll get some of that in the Castle Rock series, like a longer exploration of these ideas.
That's weird because...
And the Fraggles?
Oh, anyway.
No.
Like...
We'll cut you.
No more... Keep it for the Dark Crystal. That's what that's for. Netflix is gonna bring that back to us.
Fraggles.
Yeah, it's happening. No, I think because I'm still living through the book right now again. And you said it earlier, Bret. The strongest and scariest stuff is people, and the side stories in the book that relate to the main characters about race and like bigotry and all this, and like misogynistic abuse and all this other stuff is really, really scary and really like part of the story of it. I think the evil that happens in the town and the world is manifested through those side stories and the shit that the characters deal with, or the shit that their parents dealt with.
Yeah, even that scene with her standing there and the 3 guys like harassing her, and the old man just walks away. Like that's horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a lot of. I don't think it's subtext. I think it's text of mental manipulation and abuse running through this.
Yeah.
Also, to that chubby kid's mom, and like,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
all of them. All of them were abused in some way.
nobody's gonna know that my sister's a welfare
Yeah.
collection
Or
whatever.
never go into your dead brother's room again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot
So
of
fucked
mental
up.
abuse.
But that was kind of in Stand By Me as well.
Absolutely
Yeah.
was. Yeah. This is Stand By Me Part 2.
So I love it with conditions.
So, for what it's worth, Luna is literally watching this at the same time, and she just finished. And she says, it's way too short compared to the book. Makes me want to go back and read it for the 12th time.
Dude, you guys are perfect for each other.
That sure sounds like it.
All right.
So, yeah, that was it.
Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like the show, this is part of the Laugh Stash TV network of content. It's this podcast and a YouTube channel that has video game parodies, a cooking show, and lots of other fun stuff.
Lots of stuff. And you can also follow us on Twitter. We're at Laughstash TV on Twitter, or you can follow this podcast specifically. We're at Let's Rewatch, and this time, instead of posting a still from the film, we posted a fun picture of Dalex. So if you haven't seen it, head over to the Twitter and check out a fun picture of Dalex.
Did anybody guess the movie?
Yeah, so I posted it asking if people could guess the movie from the picture, and Dylan Musk said, which is pretty great.
Elon Musk's evil brother.
Yeah, said, what is it? That's both a question and my Jeopardy answer, which is pretty amazing. And then Strange said it as well. So thanks so much, guys. Good job.
Woo!
Mm-hmm. And if you liked this podcast, please give us a review on iTunes or Google Play.
Play.
Is there anywhere we should be seeking out material from yous?
I don't know, man. I'm like...
Turtle, what are you doing with yourself nowadays?
TurtleCom is on. Come down and see me at Prank Bar, where I'll be bartending. That's about the extent of what you can see me do.
That
right
actually
now.
sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, it comes if you're like, hey, I heard you on Let's Rewatch. I'll make you a free drink. How about that?
Nice.
I'm gonna go get a free drink.
Yeah. Didn't you say you have a Pokemon drink?
Yeah, we do. I won't make you that one because it's really complicated and expensive, but I'll get you something. It's called a Prankachoo.
I'll get you something. It's called water.
Yeah, we'll get you a nice tall glass of dihydroxide. This is good for you. Stay hydrated. Prankachoo, it's really good. It's rum, it's passion fruit, OJ, pineapple, and love.
This sounds like my kind of drink, brother.
Oh, dude, you'll love it. It's like 3 ounces of rum, 4 ounces of rum. It's a lot of rum.
Jeez.
Yeah, we don't fuck around.
Awesome. So make sure your podcast feed is up to date and tell your friends. We'll be doing this again in another 2 weeks.
Yeah, next time we're going to watch Ganjosaurus Rex.
Come on.